Okay, here we are. I'm just going to make sure that we're all good on Facebook before we start.
While you do that, Julia, I want to just address the people who are on the show, who are watching the show, sorry. If you guys want to join in to the conversation, just comment down below and we can, during our conversation, one of us will read the comments and we can include you in the conversation, which would be good.
Yeah, and
All
I've
right,
just
over to you,
seen
Juliet.
we're all good. We're all working online. I always check
Good.
now because half the time it doesn't work. But welcome everybody to She's of Love. This episode is, I mean, every episode is special, but this episode is particularly exciting because we have Lana on the show, or the Queen of Life. I don't really know how to encompass you in an introduction because you're like, oh, you're just like a rich soul. Well, first of all, check out her music. She's just come out with some Meditate, Don't Hate. I love that song.
Yay.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I'm following you on Instagram, girl. I know
Oh, it's
all of
so
this.
cool.
Yeah, like I don't know, the message that you spread on social media in general, on TikTok, on Instagram, through your music, it's just like just who you are as a person. I admire you so much, and
Oh,
I'm so grateful to be here and having this conversation. So thank you for coming
no,
on.
thank you. That means so much to hear. Oh my God, that's like the nicest thing anyone's ever said. I'm so
Oh
grateful.
no, yeah, you're the one spreading the message, so I'm just recognizing it.
And vice
Um,
versa, though. We just spread it in
yeah,
different ways.
yeah. But I guess our topic for today kind of go flows with the messages that you kind of put out on social media and in your songs even, and that's extracting joy from every moment and kind of living presently and finding gratitude. This is kind of like my perception of this, and kind of like because you can find joy in deep and dark emotions. I feel like maybe
Yes.
not always in the moment. Like for
Mm.
example, actually this is a really good example, but I just did Scotland. I just backpacked Scotland and I adventured it solo, and it was really hard. And at the time I actually, like, honestly, I was having a mental breakdown all the time. I was crying all the time. It didn't feel good, but looking back at that, I extract so much joy. Um, now that I'm in a more comfortable place physically, I kind of look back and I find the joy in those moments. Even when I was crying, I can feel the joy that was underlining everything. So I
Mhm.
guess that's my view, but we're not here to listen to my view. We're here to listen to yours. So I'll pass the mic over to you, and I'm really intrigued on your perspective on this. And yeah, you can just take this wherever you want to go.
That's a really beautiful way to like put it into a visual representation. Because like even as you're saying that, I was kind of like picturing your situation and how that would have been for you. Because it's a challenge. Like you really like set yourself up for a huge challenge. And even though it wasn't great in the moment, on reflection, it's now giving you joy. So that's just like so cool to hear. And
Yeah.
this theme is so funny because not currently in my life, but say like maybe about a month or two ago, the whole theme of my entire life was being present and finding joy and gratitude in every single moment. I was basically challenging myself to become one with the moment as much as possible. So, like, to be fully consciously aware. And for me, that was kind of really appreciating everything around me and like really acknowledging things that, I walk down the same street every single day, but how often do I actually sit and look at all the things around me? Because we're always kind of like, especially when we're walking somewhere, we're kind of in autopilot and we're just like, I'm getting to this place, I'm doing this, I'm not really around. So it's so funny that this is the topic because this was my whole life topic for such a long time. And yeah, I think what I found, like exactly what you say, because that was kind of my challenge a few months ago. Now that right now my life is kind of chaotic and unsettled, I've able to transfer that skill that I learned in that time to this time in my life where everything's a bit, oh my God, I want to run away. But I'm like, actually, I'm having really great days, like, which is really strange for the situation I'm going through. It's kind of like, I'm really grateful. I'm just so grateful. I'm just, every morning, first thing I do is count my blessings and say, thank you, Mother Earth. Thank you, Pachi Mama. Thank you for everything you're giving me. And it's changed everything. It really has.
So I'm curious to know, do you think then that it's possible, because what you're saying makes it sound to me like it's possible to make joy a practice in your life, to
100%,
make it
yeah.
a habit, like of looking for the joyful things, and that then can fill your cup to the point where when things get hard, you can draw on that resource.
Yeah,
Is that what
that's a
you're
great
telling
way to put
us?
it. Yeah, that's like the most perfect statement for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost like it was almost like a practice of initiation, almost like we always say like, oh, we create our own realities and we're creating everything, but when do we actually really put that into practice? So
Yeah.
like, we are creating everything, and no matter what's going on the outside, you always have control on the inside. And well, maybe not always, but like, we do have a certain level of being able to help ourselves in any moment. And like little things, we've all got homes, we've all got running water, we all get access to food, and I think constantly reminding ourselves of that is such a powerful tool. And I think it comes with living with great intention. I think that kind of, for me anyway, went hand in hand with extracting joy in every moment, because it was like living with intention allowed me to do that. So consciously, as I move through my days, I have an intention and I have an idea of how I would like it to go or how I'd like it to look. And even if it doesn't go that way, I can still decide how I feel, which was really powerful.
So
Yeah.
that's two things that are within your power to control and to decide.
Yeah.
So deciding an intention of how you want things to go, and if they don't meet up with that intention, then deciding how you feel about that. Those are two very powerful tools that every single one of us has that, that possibility, that ability to do that. And I don't think we realize how powerful those things are. It's all about perspective and reframing and actually knowing what it is that we want in our lives. If we can know without a shadow of a doubt, because we've thought about it, we've done the work, we've workshopped it within ourselves, what we want, and then go towards that, move towards that, rather than sitting in fear and moving away from the things that we don't want and that we're afraid of. That's so powerful right there.
I
Yeah.
like really, I really agree. And I think intention setting for me makes life more joyful, because when I wake up in the morning and I write that intention down, and then throughout my day, I realize, oh, wait, this is actually aligning with that intention I set this morning. That brings joy, and it also
Yeah.
brings presence, because, you know, one example is like, I'm really committing to my health at the moment, and I'm trying to be more intuitive with my food and also move a bit more, but I'm doing it in a way that's kind to my body and to myself. And so, I was cooking the other day, and I didn't initially do it consciously with any intention in mind. It was more just like, I want to cook, so let's cook. And then I was cooking and I was like, oh my God, actually, my intention today to commit to my health, that's what I'm doing. And then it created more joy, because and more presence to the moment, because it's like, connecting in with your soul, with yourself, and with that it also kind of makes you feel connected to the goals, and like that dopamine, you know what I mean? That dopamine, like, oh my God, I'm doing my goals, I'm doing the thing that I wanted to do.
It's like
And
checking off a checklist.
yeah, checking off a
That
Yeah.
checklist.
that
Your
Yeah.
conscious
satisfaction.
checklist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really love the intention thing, because at the moment I left that practice for so long. Like I used to always every day wake up and write my intention for the day. And I stopped that for a long time because life was really hectic and I kind of forgot about it. And I was traveling and I just like was like didn't even think about it. And then now that I'm back, um, it was just something that was like, okay, I have to do this again. Like I just feel like I need some stability, I need some grounding, and I need to connect back with myself. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, doing that has created so much joy because I'm living a pretty mundane reality compared to, bikepacking Scotland and like
Yeah.
climbing mountains and, you know, so
On
I'm
your
back.
own as well, like
Yeah.
across the whole entire earth from where you've been brought up in your natural surroundings, everything was just stripped from you in that moment. So like
Yeah.
I will give that to you. You've really done it. Like you should
Yeah.
be so proud. Like it's not a little thing either. You've like a lot of people that live in the UK would be nervous to do that, and you've done it from Australia. So yeah, it's a really cool thing you've done,
Yeah, thank you.
even
It
though it was a
was
big challenge.
yeah, it really was. It was I've shared a bit about it on the podcast in the group. It was I'm actually really grateful that I've come back here to actually process it because I couldn't process it at the time. Like when I was in it, I couldn't keep up with everything that was happening. And I think I was kind of my mind or my nervous system was like in overdrive and everything else was kind of put behind and I couldn't catch up with my body in a sense. Like I don't
Yeah,
know
of
how to explain
course.
it. And I didn't really realize it until um, you know, until now how much has happened and it's a really good thing that I'm back because I feel like I feel really connected to myself after everything. I was feeling really disconnected when I was out there. I was feeling like,
Yeah.
oh my God, what the actual fuck am I doing right now? Riding on the motorway on my bike. I was carrying probably like over
Wow,
10
that's
kilos.
crazy.
Like it was all strapped to my bike. It was I thought I was gonna die every day. In a good way. Like I know that sounds so insane, but
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
think that you're going to die a lot and it's genuine fear, it kind of puts life into perspective. And it
Hmm.
wasn't like I was actually going to die. There was this innate knowing. Like I know I was safe in
Yeah,
the
of course.
knowing of the universe. Like I knew I was safe. Otherwise, I would have gone home way sooner.
Uh-huh.
Like any
Yeah.
time that I genuinely thought, like I actually felt genuinely intuitively that this was dangerous, I didn't do it. But there
Hmm.
was moments of like fear where I was riding on the motorway and cars were coming like so close to me that I was like, oh my God, I could have died. Then.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a next level intense.
yeah,
And what's
it
coming
really
through me
was.
right now is I've got a question. So do you think when you were in that experience, do you think you were in fight or flight a lot of the time as well? And it was like a big test for you to almost like push through that or experience it or just feel it, whatever the lesson might have been. But do you think that was quite present?
Oh yeah. I actually just had this big realization literally an hour, not even. Like I was just writing an Instagram post. I don't know, I could look on my phone when I wrote this Instagram post. It was probably like an hour ago. I was writing the bio for it or the description and
Hmm.
like I was putting a really meaningful message to my Instagram post and I had this huge realization that from this experience I realized and learnt how to handle fear by myself and how to handle pressure like under being under pressure by genuine situations, like stressful
Hmm.
situations, fight or flight response. I know how to deal with that now when I'm alone, which is uh like a skill not many people have, and I definitely didn't have that skill before
It's a
traveling.
superpower.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah,
literally just gained a new cool
yeah,
superpower. Being
yeah,
superhuman.
yeah,
Yeah, that's actually incredible. Like, oh wow, what an experience.
yeah. It was a lot, and I can imagine also. because your life has been a very like you've experienced so much as well. And I think is there something that I wanted to ask you is maybe in a different way, have you also had to learn how to handle fight or flight responses or high stress and kind of
Yeah.
cope? Yeah,
Even
yeah.
currently, like right now in my life. Yeah, I feel like that's probably one of the reasons why I am the way I am, is because I had to deal with like hardship quite young. I left home at 15 and like went on this whole crazy adventure for the past like 5 years, and more. And like, yeah, I think because I was really put into situations that, you know, maybe an average 15-year-old wouldn't be put into, it was crazy. And I had to like become resilient. I had to like trust myself. And I think that's probably like the first time, probably when I was 15 years old, the first time I properly recognized my intuition as a tool to navigate myself and my safety. Um, and yeah, I feel like for a lot of my life, I was always in survival mode, and sometimes I still am. And that's crazy to recognize because, especially when you're on this like healing journey, you kind of think, you know, I'm on top of the game, I'm on top of the ball, like I've got this. And then you're like, oh wow, I've just been like living completely subconsciously and in survival mode for such a long time. And I think what comes with that as well is unbalanced femininity and masculinity. So I feel like for a very long time, I was like almost like I'm the man, like I have to be the man, I have to be the man and the woman, but almost sometimes too much masculine, because I would be like, because I was in fight or flight and because I was a vulnerable woman at the time, I had to like constantly protect myself. And even now, you know, I'm completely safe, it's been years past, sometimes I do catch myself going into that like hard shell of like masculine energy instead of being like my creative flowing soft feminine aspect, which is a big challenge. But what I have noticed is when I'm able to really come into myself and allow myself to be feminine and allow myself to be my soft version and my creative version, it's like it's so deeply connecting and so raw and real to who I really am. And that's so crazy to experience, because when you're constantly like walking around with these like barriers up and this mask and all these survival like tactics kind of up at the surface, you're not really living. You're kind of like, instead of thriving, you're just surviving. And now I feel like I'm thriving way more than surviving, which is such a magical thing. And I'm going to do a little divert quickly before I forget. When you spoke about food and like today, how like not today or whenever you made your food and you were like, oh, I've done the intention. For me recently, which has been such a crazy thing, and I think we should all practice this more, and I still forget sometimes, but I've been trying to do it at least every single day, is when we cook our food, when we're preparing it, putting intentions into our food as we're preparing it. And like, this is going to be so divine, it's going to have like Christ consciousness in it, it's going to be so purifying, so healthy. And then as you sit down at the table, whether you're alone or with people, say grace, say gratitude, thank the earth, thank you for providing this to me. And like, you know what, it makes your food taste so good. And then I've noticed I've had a lot less digestive problems, because it's like I'm taking the power into my own hands. I'm not, you know, I'm not just cooking this like subconsciously allowing whatever other energies to like infiltrate it, or it's already holding densities because of how it's been produced in the UK. You know, I'm then transmuting the energy of the food as I'm cooking it and then before I eat it. I don't know if you guys ever do that, but that's something I've just started to do, and it's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a study actually, and there's people who are, you can find them all over the internet. I follow a couple of them on Facebook, and they talk about, I think his name was Dr. Animoto or something. He's a Japanese guy who puts intention into water. He did a test with
Oh wow,
water.
I've seen this. So
Yeah.
incredible.
Yes. And food is like, I don't know, there's a huge water content in food, and there's a huge water content in us as well. So
Yeah.
that experiment says to me, when you put your intention into the water, so even self-talk, things that you're saying to yourself, they are recorded in the water. They're absorbed into the water. Like has photos. There's actual photos of water molecules.
I was just going to say this. So exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. And they, depending on the intention that you put into the water, if you speak into the water love or fear or hate, even, the water molecules look completely different. You know, when you speak love into the water, like it expands out and it's beautiful, looks like a snowflake. When you speak fear or hatred or negativity into the water, it collapses in on itself and it looks like murky and horrible. And so there's like real actual evidence out there that the way, the intention and the words that you speak have effect in
Yeah.
physical form. And so
Yeah.
when we are speaking to ourselves in that way, and I catch myself doing it all the time, self-talk, like, I'm an idiot for doing that. Like, for example, I'm away at the moment. If you can tell, I'm not at home, and I'm supposed to be going to a festival with a friend of mine. We've driven nearly 8 hours to get here, and I didn't buy a ticket. I left it to the last minute to get my ticket. And now the tickets have sold out and the festival's shut. You
Oh
can't
no.
buy any more tickets. So I'm in this, like, this void of uncertainty now. You know, am I going to be able to get to the gate and somehow get in without a ticket? And I, like, since last night, I'm like, Claudia, why did you do that? You're so silly, you know. But I'm holding out hope. Like, I'm like, no, Claudia, there's, you know,
There'll be a reason.
if you can't get in, there's, you know, you can go exploring around the area and things like that. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, yes, I should have bought my ticket earlier, but I didn't. And now I'm in this situation, and there's probably a reason why, a lesson to be learned. I don't know. I haven't extracted the joy out of the moment yet, but I'm sure I will. And so that self-talk about, you know, oh, I'm so silly for not doing it. Why did I do that? I've got to let it go, because I'm here now and I've got to
Yeah.
make the best of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a practice in itself, though. Um, Over the years, we all obviously, no matter what, we've always done it to ourselves. Oh, I'm so stupid. I'm such an idiot. Like, why have I done
Yes.
this? And I think the more you do practice positive thinking surrounding yourself, you know, whether it's just daily affirmations, like everything happens for a reason, I'm always on the right path, I'm so grateful, you'll naturally catch yourself, because I do it a lot recently now. I'll go into that like way of thinking and then catch myself instantly in the moment and like literally let it go in the moment, and it's almost like a psychedelic experience, just in that moment. Because I did it the other day. I used to have a really big judgmental aspect to me, where I would just constantly judge people for no reason, completely no reason in my head. And I haven't done it in years because I worked on it religiously. And then the other day, I was out and about and I seen someone that I maybe not had seen eye to eye to in my past. And my brain literally was about to spew some really nasty things. But before it even got the chance to, the light came in, like filtered it and transmuted it straight away. And then I had no choice in this. It just happened. I outspoke, oh my God, I love your eyelashes. They look amazing, to this person who I've never really seen eye to eye to. And like, as I left, I was like, what just happened? Like, that was magic. Like, I was just about to be hateful, but before I could, like, positivity just streamed out of me and materialized like in that one moment.
Yeah.
It was next
Beautiful.
level. It was so
Yeah.
cool. And I think the more we do practice that, you know, you can harness it. And diverting back to the water as well, have you seen the way they do it with plants? Like, they get two plants of the exact same kind and put them in separate rooms, and one plant you'll go, I love you, 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 and it flourishes and it grows so beautifully. And then the same plant with the same treatment, you say, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, it dies. Like, it
Yeah.
just dies. And I use this all the time when I speak to people about this. I say there's so many different ways to experiment it, but a good way to say to someone in the UK about it is, when we were all in school, we did a lead and magnet test, and you get a bit of paper and loads of shards of lead on it, and you get a magnet. And then underneath, if you put the negative side, it goes the same as how the water looks. It looks all murky and horrible. But then if you put the positive side, it goes like the flower of life. And everyone in the UK did that in school because it's just something we do in science. So I love having this conversation with people because I'm like, there's proof all around us. We've been taught our whole lives. It's just so like hidden in plain sight.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think that when we open ourselves to the possibility that we can alchemize that negative and positive within ourselves. And when we do that for ourselves, because, you know, She's of Love is all about that. It's about empowering ourselves and seeing things differently. When we can do that for ourselves, then that radiates out to everybody else, because people are like, why is she like that? Like, I want to be more like that. She seems like really cool and happy, and, you know, she's such a positive person. And then that then highlights, like, that light in within you shines on everybody else. And then they
It's
have,
so
when they
powerful.
seek that light, then they have a choice. I can either choose the light, or I can be jealous and, you know, go back into my little hole of misery. You
It's
know
so
what I mean?
powerful, isn't it? Just
Yeah.
like, you know, how hate causes hate, love causes love.
Yeah.
And even another deeper way of it as well, that's something I've really, really learned recently. It's so powerful. If you allow yourself to be your true, authentic, most loving, vibrant self, you're giving other people the permission to do the same. And
Yes,
like,
true.
wow, that's so, to me, like makes my heart feel so pure and happy, because like we can all just like be our authentic selves and all like change the world together, and it's just so so beautiful to me.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah, it's a choice.
also,
I think it's a choice. I mean, it's hard when you are, because like right now, I could be so sad and depressed and down on myself for the choice that I made not to buy a ticket earlier. Um, but what I want to do now is to choose to see that, okay, I might not have a clear road into the the festival, but there's some reason why. Like, I can feel it inside me. There's some reason why I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And there's that's where the gold is, looking for the reason why I didn't. And that will become clear to me in the next few hours, I think, like, to see if I get in or if I get in. And then that's where the lesson will lie. And because right now, I don't know. Right now, I
yeah,
haven't got a clue. I don't,
It
I'm
could be a
just,
million things though. It
yeah,
could be like, you
yeah,
know, it could be one lesson like, you know, be more responsible for the things you're going to do, but then it could be another lesson, something might happen at the festival that you're not supposed to be anywhere near. Like it
yeah,
could, you know, there could be so many different things. So yeah,
yeah.
just be in the moment and it'll come to you when the time is right.
Yeah. And that's hard to surrender it, because I'm here with somebody who has a ticket. She's going to be in, she's going in. And so, you know, in the moment, right now, it's difficult to have faith that there was a reason and that I'm where I'm supposed to be. That's difficult because I'm disappointed.
Yeah, of
yeah,
And I'm
course.
with some, like, there's just her and I, and she's going in, and I might be left at the gate going, oh, I've got nowhere to go and I've got nothing to do, you know, like, there's that
Do they have
risk.
like do they do ticket resale like on I don't know how it works in,
Possibly, possibly,
yeah, because
possibly.
in
So I'm
the
not going to
UK
know
like they
until I
have,
get to the gate, you
yeah,
know?
because they do like little websites where people that couldn't go resell their tickets, but it's legit, like legitimate websites, and maybe that's something you guys have.
Yeah, and that's what happened with my friend. She knew somebody who had a ticket and wasn't, decided not to go. And so she got their ticket. That's how she's getting into the festival, is through
yeah,
a friend of hers who couldn't go. So possibly something like that will happen for me.
Yeah,
But there is this, there's this feeling that I'm getting that it's okay. Like, I'm gonna get in somehow. I don't know
I
how,
love
trust
but
that.
I have a
Yeah,
feeling.
if you
that.
feel
Yeah.
that, then you will, and I can already see
Yeah.
you having the best time there.
Yes.
And mum, it's in our blood, okay?
Yeah.
This is every single time I've gone to a
Yeah.
festival, every single time I've gone to a festival, I've
I was
So I
thinking of
went to
you last
Glastonbury
night,
Festival
Juliet.
actually, Lana, this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, I've
I
seen
did
your
go.
TikTok about this. That's how I knew
Yeah,
you were in the UK. I was like, what?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
I,
did you go
I,
for free? You had no ticket?
yeah, I had no ticket, and then a week before the festival, I got in. I had like, you have no idea. I was planning to go to Glastonbury when I was still in Australia before I even left for the UK. Like it was on my vision board for the UK. Like I always do vision boards on my screensaver, and I had a
Nice,
vision
Bessie.
board for my UK trip. Glastonbury was on that. I even postponed going to Scotland until after the date of Glastonbury because I was like, I'm going to Glastonbury. I still didn't have a ticket at this stage, but it was like, I'm
And
not
they're
going to
so
Scotland.
expensive as well. It's one of the most expensive festivals in the UK.
Yeah,
It's one of the
yeah,
best as well. Oh,
yeah.
love it for you.
And
But you were paid to go there, weren't you, Juliet? You
I
earned
got
money.
paid. I got a
Yeah.
job. I got a job.
Oh,
I
that's
didn't,
so cool.
yeah, so
Wow.
I got a job at
That's a great
that,
way in the UK to go to any festival. I know people that do it all the time. And then you'll have
yeah,
like your set shifts and then you can just be free there and enjoy
Mm.
it.
yeah. So,
That's
uh,
amazing.
yeah, but I just had this feeling I
Magnetized.
was going. Like I just knew. So trust that, Mum. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. It's
And
funny, I do it all the time with my travels too. Like I
yeah,
know I'll like sometimes literally like lastminute.com book a travel like wherever it is, Spain, Holland, France, wherever I just decide to take myself. And literally like as it's getting closer to the time, I'm like, I need to buy my coach ticket to get to the airport. And because I live like in rural Cornwall, so we're not actually close to any airports other than Newquay, but they're not that great for flights going around Europe. And I'll be like the day before, like, crap, I need to do this, I need to do it. And it just worked because in my gut, every time the fear comes up, I'm like, it's fine. I know. Like it's that deep knowing, isn't it? You just know.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And you don't like, where does that come from? Like, and then the brain starts to say, am I delusional? Am I just telling
Yeah.
myself a story? Is it
Uh-huh.
real? Like what, and it's like the journey each time. And I've gotten to a point now in my life where I feel that journey coming, and the self-talk and the wondering, am I delusional? Is it me? Am I just, making up a story because I want to be positive, that sort of thinking. But
I've
what
been
I've
there.
realized is that's all normal. That's the ego giving
Mhm.
me that narrative.
Yeah.
But really, at the end of the day, nothing is going to be, set in stone. I'm not going to really know until I get there. And it
yeah.
I've got a
happens.
bit of a theory about it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on. I was
No,
just
so
gonna say,
I let the tape run. I'm letting it run its course, and it's telling me what it wants to tell me. And I'm like, yep, yep, yep. But you don't know. I don't know until I get there. So it's a
uh-huh.
wait and see situation. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just like, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm not going to freak out.
Mm,
I've got a choice here. I can be miserable, which I don't want to do, or I can have hope. And so what's the cost to me to just have hope for a few hours? There's no
Yeah,
cost
it's
to
gonna
me.
be the best outcome anyway if you remain
Yeah,
positive during that.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, like I think that like trusting as well is something that I asked to see. I was like, what is that trusting? And I quite literally just seen the future version of me, older version of me, come into my awareness. And you're like, that's why you know, because you've already done it. You've already lived
Yes.
it. And that was a very profound experience.
Oh
Like,
my God, we were just talking about this last night in the car on the way here, is that your future version, you can talk to, and we were talking about this too, Juliet, you can talk to your higher or your highest self, like the version of you that's already done it. You can
mhm.
mm,
draw them in, and you can talk to them, and you can, maybe that's what I'm doing. Maybe I'm talking to a future version of myself, and she's telling me it's okay, you're going to get in. I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly how it
Like,
feels. It's
yeah.
really profound. Like I in 2022, like I think the year we all actually ever connected for the first time, I microdosed mushrooms for a year. I've not touched mushrooms at all since. And so that's like 2 years ago now. But I'm having constant psychedelic experiences, because they're not even psychedelic experiences. They're just like you're more heightened to your senses, you're more connected to those aspects of your brain, you can understand your subconscious better, and it's so crazy, because it's like, just as we do the inner childhood healing and we speak to our inner child, and we, you know, say we're doing forgiveness or self-love or whatever we're doing with our inner child, we could do the exact same thing with our future self. And I think that's why, if you're an intuitive person, you have that deep level of trust, because you're constantly connected to the version of you that's coming true before your eyes. It's happening every day. And I think right now, for me, it feels like a lot of the negative timelines are shutting down and everything's kind of becoming unified. And as that's becoming more unified, obviously the trust and the knowing is way more clear, because we're connecting to that divine highest place without all this distortion and weird frequencies and timelines kind of infiltrating and playing their course, because they can't play their course when they don't exist anymore.
Yeah. I think one thing I wanted to say, there's a lot. One thing I wanted to say, Mum, was, you know, talking about extracting joy from every moment. By you overthinking it or thinking anything other than the trust and the innate knowing, you are stripping yourself from feeling joy. And I'm not saying that in a way to, like, because I get it. You can't just force yourself not to feel disappointed or anything like that. And that's not what I'm trying to say. But just observing the fact that, okay, in this moment, I didn't buy the ticket and I'm frustrated with myself, or I'm disappointed at this outcome, or I wish I did it a different way. However, I'm not at the festival yet, and I don't
Power
know
of
what's
yes.
going to happen. Yeah, I don't need to worry. What's happened has happened, and I have this feeling in myself, and this is my perspective, while recently, is if I feel this intuition that I'm going to get in, or I feel an intuition that the thing that I want to happen is going to happen, I trust that, because that's the most joyful thing. And I also, there's this thing when, in my experience, when I'm traveling or when I'm like on the go constantly, I don't have mental capacity to fight my brain or to fight my thoughts. So I just choose whatever one, even if it's the most delusional thought, even if it's the most delusional, like that makes zero sense. Like me getting into Glastonbury, that makes zero sense how that's going to
I
happen.
feel this so deeply.
Yeah. But however, like I don't have time right now to fight my thoughts. So I'm just going to choose to believe that.
Yeah.
And that's just what's going to run in my brain. And every single time it happens.
I feel like that's what it boils down to, though. Like, I mean, I feel like it's so hard to navigate this statement, because like some people say, oh, everything's already happened, so like it's already aligned for you no matter what. But then like I feel like more in the moment, when things like this occur, like say something goes wrong, or I've not done something yet I'm supposed to, and I do have that deep sense of trust, when I allow myself to just fully surrender to that trust, and I'm like almost a little bit cocky with it, and I'm like, it's fine, like it's absolutely fine, like we're the creator, like we've got this, we know how to do this. Every time I am like that, because I put myself into this like childlike divine creation mentality, it just happens. And maybe that is what it boils down to, because you're literally creating from the moment, and it's like it's finding balance. What thoughts have more power in this experience? And for the past year or two, I've always like been so grateful that even though I've had pretty like traumatic things still happen and life is still being a little bit unsettled here and there, I've still been able to maintain that like pure loving divine inner child creation mode. I don't know how to explain it. Whereas in the past, if something, say I hadn't booked my coach ticket and it's a day away, and in the past I'd normally freak out, and then something would go wrong because I'm in that like freak out mentality, and like you're constantly magnetizing as well. So if you're in a moment and you do freak out and you do lower your vibration so rapidly, not only you're going to lower your vibe, you'll lower your immunity, you'll lower all your senses, you'll lower your protection, like all in that one moment, when if that thought has too much power over you. So I think, again, like practicing extracting joy in every moment, and practicing that intention, and practicing that positive thinking, even though, you know, you're gonna feel anger, you're gonna feel, they're all natural and they're all just as valid, just as valid. It's about not polarizing, I suppose. It's about, okay, I feel angry, I feel annoyed, but like, it's almost like, don't let that become the whole of you. It's just a thing you're experiencing. And this is really hard to explain, but when I get really sad now, or really angry, for the most part I still feel love, and that's really hard to like describe. And I think all emotions are powered by something, and if you can power your negative emotions by something positive, or shower your negative emotions in something positive, it ultimately, like, it's like a superpower, superhuman power.
I this is bringing up something for me from my childhood, and that is, like, I think as a child I was naturally a positive child, and I had a desire for love, and for love interactions with people. So, you know, interactions with people that were anything less than that used to always disappoint me. And you know, if I was never I never intentionally went out to talk to someone or interact with somebody and say something negative to them, or leave them feeling in a negative mood. I'd always go into an interaction feeling like I wanted to leave them better than I found them. That was just me, who I was. And so whenever something would happen and that person would leave me feeling disappointed or angry or hurt in some way, or judged or whatever, I would then be disappointed in love. I would kind of like internally, the love, you know, symbol for me, whatever that was inside my imagination, I would be like using it as a punching bag. It'd be like, oh, I went in expecting you to be there and you abandoned me. You weren't there. There was no love in that interaction. And so I would be inside myself beating up on love and going, you let me down, you know? And so over the years, I think I became what you were saying before, Lana, that a masculine wall that we put up. I was like, you know, you love, you are representing weakness to me. You are representing, you know, hurt and vulnerability. And if I'm vulnerable, if I go into that interaction wanting to put love everywhere, and then I get the hatred and I get the judgment and I get hurt, then that's love's fault, because love made me want to be, you know, vulnerable and be connected somehow. And so I had this constant fight inside me. And then I would be like, okay, we need to put a wall up now, because this is too painful. We need to put a wall up, and love, you go and sit in the corner and you be quiet and sit over there and don't fucking move. I'm taking over now, and I'm going to build a wall, and I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to sort this shit out, and I'm going to be protected. I'm going to be, you know, responsible. I'm not going to be vulnerable. And then all these masculine traits, I've surrounded myself with all of that. And I've realized over the years, and now on this journey that I'm on, that doing that can be just as harmful as going into a situation and thinking that everybody's going to be all about love and light.
Yeah,
You know, and
it's
when they
such a hard
aren't,
challenge.
yeah, and when they aren't all about love and light, like I am, like, because I have that intention and they don't, that, you know, instead, like what I chose to do was put up my walls and get love in the corner. I let you take control and you messed it up. So now I'm in control. Like that's just as bad,
Yeah.
you know?
And that's feel
And
like that's the challenge I'm experiencing right now.
yes. Yeah. And I think realizing, like I've just realized that, like that image of myself doing that just came now as you were talking, realizing that that's what I did. I put it
Yeah.
aside. I
Wow.
was like, no, I'm not going to be vulnerable. I'm not going to be that positive
Oh,
child that
no, I'm
wants
not
to.
playing. Sorry.
You're right.
Yeah, she's trying to fight with me because I just tickled her tummy.
Oh.
She likes to play fight. She gets her nails out. I'm like, nope, we're not doing that now.
That's exactly what just happened there, is exactly what I'm talking about. You go in for the pat, and then the pat, like, it's like, I don't want you, and
Uh-huh.
and it's like, I was just trying to love you. And like, that's the
Yeah.
thing. And so
Visual representation.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly it right there. That cat
Yeah.
just demonstrated
Oh,
it.
she
I
does.
I wanted to there was something that came up for me
You're really
before.
quiet, Juliet. You put
I'm
the mic up.
quiet.
Yeah.
Hang on, maybe is this better?
Yeah, that's better.
That's amazing.
Um yeah, there was something that came up for me when you were talking before, Lana, about the hang on. I'll just say what came to me because I remember what came to me. I just know it was when you were talking. Um, and that was where that's about control. And that's what came up again for me, Mum, when you were talking then as well.
Mm,
How I think a lot of people convince themselves, me included, I'm sure both of you, that we don't have control over things. And this is like our food. Like I remember there are times where I get really angry at the system, like, oh my God, they put all the chemicals on our food and like how effed is this?
Mm.
And I think that's very valid and I think it's very fair enough and we have to get
mm,
angry. But I kind of can fall into food is one example, and Mum, what you were saying just then is like another example of like choosing to stay in a certain state that doesn't actually empower us. Like anger
mhm.
can empower us, but staying in the anger doesn't empower
Yes,
us.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
definitely.
We
yeah,
think it does. We
we
think
think it
it does.
does.
Like I was thinking that I
Yeah.
was empowered, choosing to put the wall up. I'm going to protect myself, but
Mm,
it's not real.
But
yeah,
then you're almost like shaming other aspects of yourself as well. But it's a really
yeah.
difficult journey because, and this is a real big thing I'm going through right now. And I've got so much anger in me because a few people that I'm very close to let me down very deeply. And it was really traumatic. And it brought up that same thing from childhood, from my teenage years. Why do I keep being love and light when all I get from being love and light is pain and everyone wants to hurt me? And
Mm,
it was really deep rooted as well, and it was also like felt ancestral, and it's so hard to navigate this because I all I want to do and be is the most purest, nicest, kindest, loving, vulnerable version of myself, where I can just be authentic and I can just, be who I really am. And but that has come with like great challenges. And I think one thing that comes with being a person like that is great boundaries and like great self-acknowledgement, and also not attaching to other people's actions, and that doesn't define you, and that doesn't define what you're putting out there, like. And it's really sad because when I get in these moments of like, so I'm so angry, it's have this such a soft voice come through me, like, don't let this break you, though, don't let this change you, like, don't let that person's horrible actions make you feel worse. Like, you are so beautiful and pure, Lana. Like, don't let that have power over you. But it is a very difficult one because sometimes when I move through life and I am the way I am, people see my kindness as a weakness, and I have been taken advantage of for a lot of my life because of that. And I guess my learning right now, and I still don't know the full answer, is moving forward being the same, but how can I protect myself in that? How can I have stronger boundaries in that? How can I use my intuition as a tool to prevent in the future allowing people to be negative towards me, or, you know, be disloyal or unfaithful or not very kind. It's a real big challenge. It's like the biggest, I feel like one of my biggest anyway, because life's never ending challenges. But that one to me is really, it's really deep. It's so deep because I've got like these two versions of me, and this one's like, it's fine, you're like a magical love fairy, like just never change, like keep being that love fairy. But then there's this part of me that's been hurt so many times, it's like, but where has it got me? It's got me here. It's got me here in this really mean situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my battle right now. I'm literally living it this day.
I seriously, like, oh, I relate so much, because there's a deep feminine part of myself that's very soft, very kind as well. And I think for a long time I've seen it as a weakness, kind of. And yeah, and it's been taken advantage of countless times.
Yeah.
And like
Countless times.
yes. And it's like, yeah, okay, maybe I'm a good person, but all these shitty people that seem to fill the world aren't, like, me being a nice person, where has it got me when I'm surrounded by shittiness, you know? And that's can be such a horrible hole to be sitting in, because
Yeah.
yeah, like, I'm not saying everyone's shitty, maybe just like other people's shitty behavior is a better
Yeah, of course.
story, because not everyone is shitty, but everyone acts shitty at least at some point, including me.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, me too, I've been there.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah, we've all been there. And I think the feminine kind of gets, like, it, at least in my mind, there's been so many times where I viewed myself as being kind or being soft, and I've thought, you're being like, why are you doing that? No, we need to be more hard. We need to be more um like powerful, or I need to be more like louder
Yeah.
or stronger. And I think
Mhm.
the thing that I need to see in myself is the power in the kindness, the
Yeah.
the strength in the soft, you know?
Yeah, it's so cool. Like when you're speaking right now, I'm actually having like a vision come through, and it's like, imagine like the angry priestess versus like the soft goddess. So like this angry priestess, okay, she's powerful, she gets what she wants, but she's quite angry, and she's quite masculine in a sense, because that's how she will portray her energy, is like, oh, look at me, I'm so strong, you can't fuck with me, like I'm a bad bitch. But then on the flip side, this soft feminine, this soft goddess who's getting, all the same things in life, she's still connecting to that stream of abundance, wealth, health, love. She's just doing it in a completely different way, and she's doing it from a soft way, from a quiet way, from a calm way, from a nurturing way, like. And I think because of how women have been so deeply mistreated in society for the past thousands of years, we literally have it like ingrained in us to put up these walls and to put up these survival methods. But it's so crazy, because it was actually, there's an individual in my life that taught me how to be more soft, and that was so weird, because in relationships, this is someone I have a really beautiful relationship with, and in relationships in my life, I was always that like boisterous tomboy, courageous adventurer, kind of like, I was always one of the boys growing up. I always had friends that were boys. And I was literally one of the lads. That's what they would say. Oh, Lana's one of the boys. And now, I think we spoke about this on the podcast before as well, like not being
Probably,
connected to
yeah.
that many
It's
females.
sounding familiar, yeah.
Yeah, and this is something I've learned so recently is this person that I'm deeply connected to now, we've been connected for the past 2 years. He really allows me to be myself feminine. And what I think I've learned from that is the reason he has allowed me to is because he's a safe person. And if you're with safe people, you feel safe enough to be your true, authentic, most purest self. But obviously when you've been traumatized and you've been through a lot of dark experiences in your life, you have kind of, you sometimes your mentality is no one's safe. But that you can overcome that, and when you do, it's so powerful. And like it's so nice to experience that side of myself. Like I've got a whole different voice that I didn't even know I had, and it's really soft, and it's really so quiet and pure. And do you know what I've realized? I'm more heard in those times of softness and purity than I am in those times of shouting and anger.
Yes.
Which was a real big lesson to me. Like there's someone in my life that unfortunately I have to be connected to no matter what because of life. And we've had great conflict. And what I've learned over the years is every time we've had some sort of altercation or something negative has happened, I've been the rah, 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 listen to me. I just need to be heard. Like, listen to me, and shout and scream and cry. And then for the past 2 years, I've just been really soft with it. And it's so crazy how much more information is absorbed and heard and seen when you are soft and you are articulating your words properly and you're really being conscious of how you navigate a conversation.
Yeah.
Well, that taught me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So powerful.
I feel so filled up after this conversation. We pretty much reached an hour, give or take, I think, a couple minutes. But I guess to round out everything, I am just so grateful, and I really, Lana, I really want to just put this so strongly inside your brain because like you are an incredible human, and um I, no matter what you're going through, and I'm saying this to myself as well and to anyone out there, when you spread positivity, and no matter how down, how many people feed off that positivity and that light that we all have within us, if we choose to shine, light shines back. And it doesn't always I mean,
Yeah.
in these moments it doesn't seem that way, and I've been in so many moments lately where, yeah, I felt the darkness, but it's in those moments where we have to shine our light by ourselves and learn how to be just in our own light without any other light around us.
Mm.
And I just, yeah, I want you to know that you're really spreading like waves of positivity and light across the world, because it reaches me on Instagram, and that was in Australia, that's
Yeah,
here,
that's so
no matter where
powerful
I
to
am.
hear.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
thank you so much. And the
yeah,
same
you're meant
goes to
to.
you. Every time I speak to you guys, you fill me up with so much love. And like every single time I end the call, I'm on like a higher vibrational frequency. And it's such a profound feeling. And I'm so internally grateful to be connected to you guys. Like,
Mwah.
Thank you. Yeah,
no, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Like I'm so blessed. I feel so blessed. Like no matter what's going on in this crazy life, I'm so grateful. So
yeah.
blessed.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see
Thank
each other
you.
soon because we're in the same
Yes,
country now.
I've got just under 4 weeks. I'm back at uni. So if it can be in those 4 weeks, that would be divine.
That
Awesome.
we'll figure it
I'm
out.
Oh,
jealous.
I've got like a single bed as well, like a whole, I need to clear it, but I have got a whole corner of my living room, which is a single bed. So yeah. You've got
Okay,
anything you
well,
want.
That's your invitation,
sleep
Jay.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, anytime. I'd be so grateful to have you here. And it'd just be
Oh,
so
yes.
magical to have you in the same space.
Yeah. Oh,
Can you
that would be.
imagine?
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited. It's gonna happen. I feel it.
It
So
will. It will. When the time is right. I feel like the reason maybe it hasn't magnetized recently and aligned is because of what you've been experiencing and what I've been
Mm.
experiencing. The time wasn't
yeah,
right, but the time will come and it will be right.
yeah,
And it'll be so
definitely.
much better than if it was a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
And Mum, enjoy the festival
Adventure.
today.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
enjoy your
you're gonna get in.
adventure.
You're gonna get in.
Yeah, you'll have the best
Yeah, I'll let you
day.
know how it goes.
Definitely. Yeah, keep us updated. I'm so
I will.
curious.
Yeah.
Oh, have the
Okay.
most divine time.
Thank you both, and thank
Mwah.
you everyone for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Oh, thank you. Goodbye.